International press this morning, of course, and see what the different papers are making of the death of Nelson Mandela. Well, the cover of The Guardian, that's of course the UK paper, refers to Mr. Mandela as a towering figure of Africa's struggle for freedom.
Well, The Times carries a commemorative cover carrying a quote from Mr. Mandela's book, Long Walk to Freedom. No one is born hating another person because of the colour of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and then, if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite.
Well, The Times also carries this cartoon that's inside the paper, and it has just one word: release.
And the Irish Times, like many other media outlets, shares an image of a smiling Nelson Mandela.
Now, this is the striking image on the front page of the Daily Telegraph here in London.
And the New Yorker magazine has revealed that it will have this Mandela tribute issue on sale next week.
Protester, prisoner, peacemaker is the headline on this upcoming tribute issue of Time magazine.
And The Independent, another UK newspaper, runs another quote from the former leader on its front page. It reads, "To be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others."
Well, Rolake Akinkugbe is an energy analyst at EcoBank, and she joins us now. And this morning, Rolake, good morning. First of all, lovely to see you as usual. But this morning it's special, isn't it? And I'm just wondering, as a young African, what were your thoughts about on hearing the news of the death of Nelson Mandela?
For me, I was actually really lost for words. I was chatting with a friend online when I heard it, but it actually takes me back several years ago. I was barely 10 when Mandela was actually released from prison, and at that time I had no real political consciousness. I sort of saw him as this hero who everyone was celebrating and talking about, and over the years, you know, I've grown to learn about him both in an academic context and also in the wider world, and he's just such an inspiration to every young African, every young person globally as to what you can achieve. And the sheer level of his sacrifice and his just immense sense of forgiveness and embracing all cultures, transcending barriers globally around the world, I think that is utterly irreplaceable.
What would you pick out, though, as some of your sort of key Mandela memories, if you like? I was just remembering just then talking to Milton and Kusi that when I was a schoolgirl in South Africa, I really remembered the World Cup victory in 1995. That, for me, was my happy memory.
That was quite an iconic moment. But the other thing I obviously do remember is, parts of it certainly, is the elections when he sort of, you know, his victory speech in 1994 when he became South Africa's first democratically elected black president. I mean, that is just symbolic. You remember that and you think back over the 26 years of sacrifice, almost 3 decades of sacrifice, giving his life. That was certainly iconic. Also, his last public appearance in 2010 at the World Cup in South Africa, that obviously was quite special. And just the fact that he was so full of heart. You know, he had such a great sense of humour as well, which, you know, we shouldn't forget in all of this. He was quite an amazing man, and I think his legacy will outlive generations to come.
Yeah. Rolake Akinkugbe, thank you very much indeed for coming in to share some of your thoughts on this momentous day, on the day, of course, that Nelson Mandela has died.